I almost grabbed him by the throat. It was kind of I had to get myself under control. I was so excited at the prospect of actually making this.
Hugh Laurie's friendship and creative collaboration with Stephen Fry remains one of the defining elements of his career. Meeting at Cambridge in the late 1970s through the university's prestigious Footlights Club, Laurie and Fry developed a deep professional and personal relationship that would stretch across decades. Their work together on a bit of Fry and Laurie and Jeeves and Wooster cemented their place in British comedy history.
You may be wondering how my colleague came by this bandage upon his head.
It's very simple. A nurse put it on.
What my colleague is trying to say, if he had but the words...
Now, you see, now that is clever, Jeeves.
Really, is it?
That line about the King of Sweden and things she was needing.
Yes, His Majesty King Gustav does seem to have been...
Speaking in an interview with The Guardian, Laurie reflected, "Meeting Stephen changed the course of my life. I thought I was destined for some dusty career in law or teaching, but then here was this extraordinary intellect and spirit who showed me another path." Fry, in turn, has often credited Laurie as the most naturally funny person he had ever encountered. Their collaboration was not simply a matter of convenience or comic chemistry, it was born of mutual admiration. Fry's verbose wit and Laurie's instinctive timing complemented each other to such an extent that their partnership often felt less like an act and more like a shared language.
Which brings us to our other sticky out bit, delivery.
Prong 2, delivery.
It was a partnership built on trust, which allowed both men to take greater creative risks. However, the success of Fry and Laurie as a double act created an unintended consequence. It led to them being typecast as a duo. As the 1990s progressed, Laurie felt a growing tension between his ambitions and the public's expectations. The typecasting that came from his work with Fry created a dilemma for Laurie. While grateful for the recognition, he feared being confined to one genre and format. "You begin to feel you are living inside a room with only one door," Laurie later admitted to Time magazine, "and sometimes you need to find a window instead." Determined to avoid being pigeonholed, Laurie began seeking out more diverse roles. This shift led him into darker, more complex characters, culminating famously in his role as Dr. Gregory House in the American TV drama of the same name.
Thank you for writing your own. I'm sure my thoughts are beautifully phrased.
Thank you for signing it. It saves me having to fake your signature.
Yet before making that leap, he would find another influence closer to home, Emma Thompson. Another figure from his Cambridge days who left a lasting impression on Laurie was Emma Thompson. As fellow Footlights members, Laurie and Thompson shared the stage countless times in their formative years. Thompson, with her remarkable ability to switch between comedy and drama, provided an early template for Laurie's later aspirations.
I am Emma Thompson, and I am so thrilled to be here hosting Saturday Night Live! It's incredible. It's incredible to be working alongside my beloved husband of 16 years, Kenan Thompson.
In a BBC interview, Laurie confessed, "Emma has this fearless quality. She could make you howl with laughter in one moment and then break your heart the next. Watching her made me believe that maybe comedy and tragedy weren't such distant cousins after all." Thompson's career trajectory, effortlessly moving between sketch comedy, Shakespearean drama, and Hollywood features, inspired Laurie to pursue a similarly expansive career. Her success proved that an actor need not be boxed into one genre or medium, a realization that emboldened him to explore more dramatic territory. However, Thompson's meteoric rise also highlighted Laurie's slower climb. As she garnered international awards and acclaim, Laurie found himself struggling with minor roles and limited opportunities. The disparity between Thompson's swift ascent and Laurie's more laboured path in the early 1990s became a source of private frustration for him. He later confessed to The Telegraph, "There's a sort of survival instinct that kicks in. You want to be happy for your friends, and you are, but at the same time you wonder, why not me?" This period of self-doubt could have spelled the end of Laurie's ambitions beyond comedy. Instead, it galvanised him to seek out more challenging work. It was during this period that he began appearing in series like Blackadder, working with another formidable talent.
"Yes, I know Blackadder. I've been pondering it all morning." You have, sir?
Yes, socks. Run out again. Why is it that no matter how many millions of pairs of socks...
Rowan Atkinson's influence on Laurie was both profound and practical. Working together on Blackadder 2, Blackadder the Third, and Blackadder Goes Forth, Laurie observed Atkinson's exacting approach to comedy.
Right still. For me, socks are like sex. Tons of it about, and I never seem to get any.
Sir, if I may return to this very urgent matter.
Atkinson's perfectionism in matters of timing, diction, and movement revealed to Laurie the discipline that underpinned the most effortless-seeming performances. Speaking to Rule 42, Laurie recalled, "Rowan is like a surgeon. Every syllable, every gesture has a purpose. Nothing is left to chance. I learned that you have to respect the audience enough to do the work." While Fry brought improvisational brilliance and Thompson embodied fearless range, Atkinson taught Laurie the meticulous craft of performance. These lessons would prove invaluable when he eventually crossed the Atlantic to audition for House, a role that demanded absolute precision in balancing cynicism, humor, and vulnerability. Nevertheless, Atkinson's influence also reminded Laurie of a nagging fear, that despite technical excellence, he might always be seen as only a comic actor. Throughout the mid to late 1990s, Laurie battled against being categorized solely as a comedic performer. Despite appearances in more dramatic projects such as The Night Manager and minor film roles,
You fellas been busy while I've been gone?
All ready for you, Chief. Spick and span.
Glad to hear it. Andrew, come here. Because Mr. Birch here wants to put on a good show.
he found himself consistently pushed towards comedy. "I couldn't escape the idea that I was funny, whether I intended to be or not," Laurie told The Times. "Even when I played something tragic, there was this reflexive smirk people expected." This led to a moment of professional and personal crisis, with Laurie contemplating leaving acting altogether to pursue full-time music.
Down the levee with my head hanging low, looking for my mama, but she ain't here no more.
However, it was a different kind of artist who reignited his passion for complex characters. Though not an actor, John le Carré's storytelling deeply shaped Hugh Laurie's later work. Laurie's admiration for le Carré's novels, populated by morally ambiguous characters operating in grey worlds, provided him with a model for the layered personalities he wished to inhabit. "I read The Spy Who Came In From the Cold when I was about 20, and it rewired my brain," Laurie told Time. "It showed me that a character could be contradictory, infuriating, heroic, and cowardly all at once." When Laurie portrayed Richard Onslow Roper in the BBC's adaptation of The Night Manager, based on le Carré's novel, it felt like a culmination of everything he had learned from Fry, Thompson, Atkinson, and le Carré himself. His performance was chilling and charming, a balance that required complete control. However, this embrace of darkness also raised concerns about typecasting again, this time as a villain. Portraying Roper brought Hugh Laurie immense critical acclaim, but it also carried a risk. Audiences and directors, quick to associate actors with particular kinds of roles, began to see Laurie primarily as a villainous presence. Laurie himself mused on this in an interview with The Independent. "You don't want to wake up one day and find you've become shorthand for malevolence. It's flattering in one sense, but limiting in another." Determined to maintain his artistic freedom, Laurie began alternating between music projects and acting roles, refusing to allow himself to be pinned down. But this effort to balance acting and music would bring a new challenge: how to maintain credibility in two fields notoriously skeptical of crossover artists.
Well, I'm going to Louisiana, baby behind the song.
If John le Carré inspired Laurie's dramatic sensibilities, it was Dr. John, the American musician, who shaped his musical aspirations. Laurie's love for the blues was lifelong, but recording his debut album, Let Them Talk,
That's where my heart is turning ever.
required him to confront industry skepticism. "I'm acutely aware of the stigma around actors who make records," he admitted to Rolling Stone. "But for me, this music isn't a sideline, it's a part of who I am." Dr. John's work, infused with authenticity and soul, became Laurie's benchmark. Dr. John could sing a single note, and it would be more truthful than a whole paragraph of dialogue, Laurie remarked. Still, no amount of admiration could shield Laurie from critics who viewed his musical endeavors as a vanity project. Laurie's determination to forge a music career without trading on his acting fame led him to embrace smaller venues and focus on authenticity over glamour. He toured with a blues band, often playing to modest crowds compared to the massive audiences of his acting projects. This humility earned him the respect of many within the music community. Reviewers gradually came to acknowledge that Laurie's musical talent was not a celebrity novelty, but a genuine passion. Reflecting on his dual career, Laurie told The Guardian, "I think in the end, you have to please yourself first. If you believe in the work, and you do it sincerely, the rest is out of your hands." Thus, Hugh Laurie carved out a unique place for himself, one that owes a great deal to the actors, authors, and musicians he has admired, but which ultimately reflects a path he crafted for himself.